Gardening is universal. No matter where we live, what we grow, or how we garden, we share the same instinct to nurture something and watch it flourish. With more than 3 decades in the garden industry, Paul Zimmerman explores the passion that connects gardeners around the world with those who also live in it. Drawing on years of travel, conversations with international growers and hobby gardeners, and countless visits leading garden tours everywhere from France to England to New Zealand, Paul looks beyond the how-to and dives into the deeper questions. Why do we garden? What's changing in the gardening world? And what does it reveal about who we are? Please welcome your host, Paul Zimmerman.
Hello again, and welcome to my podcast, A World of Gardening with Paul Zimmerman. This one's going to be a little different. We've started the podcast with a segment called Paul's Journal, and I'm going to call this one's Paul's Journal of France. It's a travel diary is essentially what it is. I am in France. I've just arrived. I'm here for about 2.5 to 3 weeks. I've got some business with Jackson & Perkins. I'll tell you more about that as we get there. I've also got a rose tour to lead. Going to see a design client. I'm going to end up in England at Peter Beale's Roses. And I just want to document this little journal, travel journal, I guess is what it is, as I move through France. I arrived this morning, long flight from the United States, always is, change planes in New York City. Sitting in a garden, that was a peacock, in case you picked up on that one. Arrived in Paris this morning early, had a bit of a shock. I got off, I went to pick up my rental car, and I got a new driver's license fairly recently. Mine had expired. I got it about 6 months ago, and I get there and I hand it to the woman, and she says, yeah, this is fine. However, we're not allowed in France to rent to anybody who has a driver's license that is less than 1 year old. Not that I haven't been driving for more than a year, but the license itself. Heart and throat time, folks, needless to say. Luckily, I had taken a picture of my old license about a year ago. I don't even remember why I did that, and she said that was fine. I showed her the photograph of my old license. Got in my car and I was underway, sort of. If you've ever driven around Paris, the traffic is a nightmare, but that's bottom line is I got out and traveled along, had a nice journey, raining. I was tired, of course, needless to say. I doze on a plane. I don't sleep, but did okay. And then I did do a stop, though, a non-rose stop. I stopped at the Le Mans, the 24 hours of Le Mans race course to visit the museum there. That was a bucket list item, ticked that. Had a very nice dinner, and this is my first evening, so it's off to bed. So this is the introduction to Paul's Journal through France. Come join me as I wander through, and periodic observations. I'll edit them at the end. Hopefully some of them will be interesting. Hopefully I'll edit out the ones that aren't, but if I keep one in that's not particularly interesting, forgive me. Press on. They will not be long. It's day 2 of my trip here in France, and this was an unexpected surprise. I was not expecting this. I was in the hotel thinking what to do before my 2 p.m. meeting, and I see listed in a tourist book, Les Chemins de la Rose, Chemins. Chemins, that's probably wrong, but regardless, it's attached to a nursery that's obviously been here a while, and it's about a 4-hectare rose garden that is out of the blue. I did a video that accompanies it. You might want to go check that out. What I like about this garden, several observations. This is obviously not something formally planned by a parks department or something like that. This garden is a labor of love. They obviously had land and they started, I think, planting roses, making paths. You wander through this eclectic collection of modern roses next to old roses. And I really like that about it. And I think the observation that I'd like to take away from this garden is, and I'm saying this as a garden designer, by the way, is don't overthink things. Don't plan too hard. That's why this garden actually flies. It really works. I will post a link to the video I did in the show notes, and check that out. I'm past bloom, by the way, but that's okay. You can still see what's going on. And, sometimes you can't see the plants for the flowers, to paraphrase a saying. But this is really worth it, this garden. It's worth visiting. Really a nice place to hang in the morning before my meeting, and an unexpected surprise. Le Chemin de la Rose in the Loire Valley, France. Day 2. Part of what I'm doing over here, particularly before my rose tour begins in Lyon this coming Saturday, is I'm working with a couple of different breeders and companies to bring roses to America, but also working with a company that's going to bring Jackson Perkins roses to Europe. The company's called Hortival. That's the meeting I had after the garden I talked about yesterday. Meeting went well. Very, very nice people. Second time I've been here. But with these roses dancing back and forth across the ocean, I get asked a lot, if I see a rose in Europe, how do I know what that rose is in America, or is it available in America? And do sometimes the names change when they come either one direction or the other? And the answer is yeah, quite often the name it's sold under does indeed change. For example, if a rose in France might be named after a French city or a French person or something like that. So when it comes to America, who doesn't really necessarily know what that is, the name gets changed. And vice versa. A rose may come to Europe from America and the name gets changed for the same reasons. So the question is, how do you, the rose grower, the consumer, listener of this podcast, how do you know I saw a rose in Europe, I saw a rose on the internet, how do I know it's the same rose? Here's the key. It's a little thing called a breeder code. And that name will always follow the rose no matter what. It's the one it's registered under, basically. It's an international registration authority that you register a rose with, and you use that breeder code. So you may have seen a site like helpmefind.com, which, by the way, if you don't know Help Me Find, it's a great site to look up wonderful information about roses. Just go to helpmefind.com, click on roses, and you can search all kinds of great information. Must-have site for anybody who loves roses. You may also see this in a catalog or a book about roses. The example I'm going to use is a rose called Veterans Honor, which is a Jackson and Perkins rose. So if you go to the Jackson Perkins website, for example, you see Veterans Honor. You scroll down a little bit, you're going to see another name, variety. It could be breeder code. Sometimes it's in parentheses, sometimes in a single quotation mark. They generally always start with 3 capital letters. In the case of Veterans Honor, those 3 letters are J, A, C. The first 3 letters of the name Jackson and Perkins. A David Austin rose starts with A-U-S, David Austin. Cordes roses start with K-O-R, Cordes. Weeks roses start with W-E-K, Weeks. That begins to tell you who the actual nursery is, or perhaps the breeder who produced the rose. So back to Veterans Honor. Veterans Honor was introduced, bred by Jackson Perkins. Keith Zary bred it. And its code name, or the name, the breeder code, is Jack Opper, J-A-C, which are capitalized, O-P-P-E-R. So again, capital J, capital A, capital C, O-P-P-E-R. Now, if you look that up on Help Me Find, you will also find another name in Australia, City of Newcastle. It was named after the city of Newcastle. I think it's part of the bicentenary. I think that's what it was named after. So it's known as City of Newcastle in Australia. In New Zealand, it's being sold as Lady in Red. So now you have 3 different names for this rose in 3 different parts of the world. In America, Veterans Honor. In Australia, City of Newcastle. In New Zealand, Lady in Red. However, the name Jack Opper is there with every single variation of the name. So City of Newcastle, parentheses, Jack Opper. Lady in Red, parentheses, Jack Opper. Veterans Honor, parentheses, Jack Opper. That's how you know, as a consumer, if you go to Australia and you see, gosh, City of Newcastle, what a beautiful rose. I want that rose. Is it available in America? You look up City of Newcastle, probably not available in America as City of Newcastle, but look up Jack Opper. That's what's going to tell you what the rose is in America, if it's indeed there. Let's confuse this a little bit further, shall we? So a rose was released by Weeks Roses, bred by Christian Bernard, very talented breeder there, in about 2017, climbing rose called Lady in Red. I just mentioned Lady in Red, Jack Opper. Okay, now we have a Lady in Red climber released after Lady in Red, Jack Opper, Veterans Honor. But however, the Lady in Red that Weeks released, the breeder code is Week Valdaom, W-E-K-V-A-L-D-A-O-M. So you got 2 Lady in Reds. However, one is Jack Opper, as one is Week Valdaom. That begins to tell you which is which. I realize that's a bit confusing, but just go look at some websites, various websites, and start to look at that various thing. It's also kind of fun because when you're in a garden, now you know the breeder. People ask me all the time, what's the breeder? And if I have that code, I can look like a genius, obviously. But if I see, Cordesi, I know, oh, it's Cordes. If I see T-A-N, Tantau, D-A-L, Delbart, W-E-K, Weeks, J-A-C, Jackson and Perkins, E-V-E, Andre Ev, A-U-S, David Austin. It goes on from there. So that little breeder code, when these roses move all around the world, and if you get confused as a consumer, that little breeder code, JAC Opera in the case of Veterans Honor, is how you're going to follow that rose everywhere you go. And you're going to know if you're getting the one that you saw in this wonderful garden in France when you return back to America. Nearly the end of week 1 of my French Rose Journal. Been having a wonderful time. Just spent a wonderful couple of days at the André Eve Nursery in Pithiviers, which I think I got pretty close. I did Google Translate to see if I could get it. Wonderful little town. I want to tell you a bit about André Eve himself, however, just a really, really interesting person, an important person in the history of roses in particular. He was born in 1831 in the Paris region. He then settled in Pithiviers in about 1958, something along those lines. In 1968, bred a rose called Sylvia Vartan. Very successful rose, did extremely well, kind of put him on the map, basically. In 1978, bought his first house and began designing his personal garden. That's the thing to understand about André Eve, is André Eve was a gardener first and foremost and a garden designer. He loved gardens, loved plants, and that's where he came from when he bred roses and how he used the roses just as shrubs in the garden with other kinds of perennials. The house and garden still exist, even though André Eve passed away in 2015, and I visited it about 3 years ago. It's a wonderful little intimate personal garden. I think that's the best expression I can give. It's long and fairly narrow, lots of winding paths. I actually read later on that he was a bit of a bon vivant, and he based the pathways on the curves of a woman, which I kind of really like, Rubenesque woman, but obviously that's what he did. I think it's a great expression, a wonderful thing about that. And then in 1983, he published an article in a French magazine called Mon Jardin, Ma Maison, My Garden, My Home. And he talked about the old roses, the old beauties, as Peter Beals used to call them. And he became sort of an ambassador for the old roses. He's part of the generation that led the charge of the old roses back into more awareness. You know, I think of people like Graham Stewart Thomas, who designed Modest Abbey, Peter Beals, certainly David Austin was also part of that. You know, André Eve was part of that, Francois Joriot in France as well. In the United States, Mike Shoup comes to mind, and certainly the Clemens of Heirloom Roses, John and Louise, were part of that in the very early days. And you can't go without mentioning Greg Lowry and Vintage Roses and the Friends of Vintage Roses and all the work that's been done with that. That's why these old roses are still around. It's that group of people that really brought them in. So André Eve retired in 2000, continued to welcome visitors to his garden, and he traveled. As I mentioned, he died in August of 2015, August 1st, as a matter of fact, and I love this. I read this just recently the other day. He apparently, right before he passed, he asked for champagne. Now that is style. I'm about to die. I'd like a glass of champagne. That you got to love with this. He also had a wonderful quote that I really think is really, really apt. The quote is, "You don't plant a rose, you adopt a story." What a wonderful, wonderful quote, because roses are indeed stories. The Rose Nursery today is run by Pascal Pignel. His breeder is Jerome Retto. And part of what I'm here for is that Jackson Perkins is working to bring the André Eve roses to the United States. I talked about that just a little while ago, these roses going back and forth across the pond, as they say. So I've been here looking at varieties. We have some already. Keep an eye on the Jackson Perkins catalog for that. And I'm bringing more in, so every year I'm going to visit, see what new roses are being bred, have a chance to talk to them. And what I did was Jerome, and then Pascal joined us a little bit later. We wandered into the field, and we began to look at roses to potentially import. And we had conversations about the roses and about the qualities. And I hope this isn't, kind of boring or indulgent, but I was thinking that you guys might enjoy hearing kind of what those conversations are. It was windy that day, so you may hear some wind in the microphone. Forgive me for that. But anyway, I'm just going to let this run a little bit, and I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you over on the other side.
This shows who won in Lyon trials.
Okay.
Win the first prize of the big flowers, the category of big flowers.
Okay, so
first prize. Yes,
it's nice too. I see. This is like this soft apricot yellow, but it's cream when it first opens.
Yes, I love this.
Yeah, because a lot of times they start yellow and then they fade. This one almost starts.
That's what I want.
Light and goes. It's backwards.
In France, people like when the yellow shades.
Yeah.
They don't like when it
Yeah.
stays yellow.
The whole time. They want to see the change. Because when it's the bud here is opening and it's white almost, and then when it's fully open, the whole thing is yellow. It's because not a lot of times it starts yellow and then it goes cream late.
Mm-hmm.
This starts cream and then goes yellow.
Yes.
It's different. It's very, very nice.
And old rose.
Yeah.
The heart of the rose.
Very much an old, lots and lots of petals.
Yes. Quarters like that.
Yeah. Oh, that's very nice. Yeah, with the quartering there. That's a very pretty rose. I like the coloring on that. Yeah, that's very,
this
very
one
shifty.
very different.
It's
always, it flowers it's continuously flowering.
Yeah, it's 5 petals, single petal, as we call them.
Yeah.
I love the dark red anthers in the middle. That really sets the color off nicely. Yeah, so it's going to flower.
And bees like this rose.
Yeah. Bees would very much like this rose. I could see that.
The summer is when the sun is hot. So many bees on the plant.
Very nice rose. I like that a lot. I like singles too, though. That's me. But yeah, this color in America is actually quite popular. Okay. We need to bring this one over. Yeah, this is. I mean, look at look at the foliage on that too.
The foliage is very, very.
Yeah. Also, very good, strong. Yeah, there you go. Oh yeah, there it is. Everything. A little bit of pink on the edge and the cream and then the orange. That's really nice. And look what I love the stems. Look how strong that is. Yeah. Even with
it's strong and very reflowering easily.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. Good for cutting, I would think. And put it in that's going to stand in a vase very, very well in a vase. Yeah.
I love
this is something. Look at this. Holy cow. Oh, that's a strong fragrance. Even on a cloudy day. Reminds me of the old Portlands. Definitely bring this one over. And it's compact, which is nice. That people, gardens are getting smaller. People want sometimes roses. So yeah, this is beautiful. Wow.
19th century, there were many creators who created Polyantha roses.
Yes.
So I want to continue this way and create new Polyantha, but with a good disease resistance.
That would be,
because the old Polyanthas sometimes are not very good.
But Polyanthas, though, they're also a great class of roses for the landscape because they tend to not get very big. Mm-hmm. They bloom very proliferously. I mean, this is like, it looks like an apple blossom, this one.
Yes.
But it also looks like, if you look like it, the hydrangea? It looks like the head of a hydrangea. Yeah. That's nice. I like that.
In Europe, in trials in Europe, now many creators create this kind of rose.
Yeah. This is nice. This could be a nice series if you had 2 or 3 in different colors. And yeah.
That's what I want to create. It's very different. I mean, between this and this.
Yeah.
But I like all the roses.
So we like them all. That's our problem, Jerome.
Petals can fall because when the flower is completely open, the petals must fall because
we call that self-cleaning in America.
Yes,
that's the term that we have. They clean themselves. But what I like about this one, Jerome, is that it's pink and then it's white. And even though like these petals are now very old, they're falling, but the petals are still pure white.
This is still white.
Yes. A lot of times white.
I understand.
You know what I'm saying?
Really important for me.
So. That's what makes this really, it's pretty all the time.
Yes.
I think it's a very nice rose. And the foliage color is nice. It's a softer green, which works better with this rose. This is nice.
Yes, that's the rose we are going to, comment on dit baptiser en anglais? Baptiser, baptême. The American word for baptême, baptiser, give a name, to give a name. The baptême, you give the name, you put wine, and it's
baptize. Baptize when you're a baby.
On Saturday, yes. On Saturday, we baptize this one. It's a rose for Cancer Association.
Oh, okay. We saw the Polyantha at Jerome, which there's kind of there's similarities in these. It could be a nice color series. We have the different colors but this style of flower.
Yes,
I like that.
I create this kind of this sort of rose, big flower and landscape rose
landscape roses.
Yes.
Yeah, this is nice. There was one over here that we saw. I mean, look at this. I mean, look at this. If you look at this, but again, that's a range. Look at the amount of flowers this is about to produce. With a deep pink with a white, about an inch across. But I mean, again, you take all of these together.
Yes.
We have a family. Agree?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we do. Yeah, I think we do. Wow. Holy cow.
Yes.
That's got a lot of fragrance. And it's red.
Excellent. And to find the red one, which such smell.
And also, and disease resistant too. That's hard to find in red.
Flower here.
Yeah. Look at that.
Very nice.
Yeah. Starts as a hybrid tea and then kind of opens a little old. Healthy?
Yes.
Yeah. That's the problem with res is that, in America, Chrysler, Imperial, Oklahoma.
All the small insects.
The insects like it.
They love the yellow color.
One over there with the white with the single petals, and you had several single. And again,
and you have another one, which could be a collection.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Right. So Milena, you know him? No, it's a perfumer.
Perfumer, yeah. Very pretty yellow though, and fragrant.
Yeah,
very nice. Again, there's that single petaled landscape. Good. Yeah,
yes.
Again, that's that landscape.
Yes.
You have a nice group of those.
I think we have two sizes.
Yeah.
We have some who are taller than some of them are smaller.
Right.
And this one and this one are taller perhaps than the other.
Yeah. That's okay. There's different uses though.
But it's different uses, different heights. So.
See, this could make a nice, almost like a hedge if you put
to make a hedge very
they're very upright, very stiff.
Yeah.
It would be good for that. Yeah, it'd be excellent for that. The other thing is wrong with these really nice stiff stems that keep the flowers upright. They're not flopping. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's what a lot of times with roses, when they have lots and lots of flowers at the top, they lie on the ground. These are standing straight up, even after rain. I hope you enjoyed that little bit of insight into how we select roses for bringing across the pond, as I said earlier. It's not really a very scientific process, as you can tell. We're not doing analysis or anything along those lines. So much of it is really just looking at the roses, having done this for quite a while. Shall we just leave it at that? And just looking at it going, yeah, that one says something to me. That one says something to me. I think gardeners in America would really enjoy that rose. So that's really how I base a lot of this on. A lot of it from the heart, more so than the head. And really, that's what roses should be. Roses should be from the heart. And to paraphrase Andreev himself, I'm not importing a rose, I'm adopting a story. So tomorrow I'm off to Lyon. That's where I join my rose garden tour that I'm leading, and I'm very much excited about that. Meeting up again with my partner in crime, Kirsty Ferguson, who I've partnered with on all the rose tours that I do through Fine and Cultural Boxwood Tours. Kirsty has been with them a long time. So we're looking forward to that. We have about 13 guests that are joining us for a wonderful jaunt through the Lyon region and then on to the Beaujolais region, which I'm very much looking forward to as well. So I'm going to close this podcast here, and we'll do a different one about the Rose Tour, and we'll see where that one leads us. So for now, bonjour from France.